The author of the famous book, The Four Agreements, is in Rochester today. Don Miguel Ruiz will speak at Jiva Theater today from 1 to 4. This morning, his son, Miguel Ruiz Jr., is in studio to talk about his father's book and today's discussion topic, the four agreements in the workplace and beyond. Thank you for being with us, Miguel.
Thank you so much for having me, Norma.
This is so exciting to have your visit to Rochester. There are, of course, so many fans of your father's book, and you are traveling with your father.
Yes, I am. In 2002, my father suffered a massive heart attack, and he only functions with about 16 to 17% of his heart capacity.
Oh my heavens! And
so
still travels.
He travels. That's why at first, after his heart attack, he tried and he couldn't. So as the years have gone by, he's developed enough strength. Like, for example, in 2006, we were supposed to go to Europe to do a European tour, and his doctor says, you can't go. You know, it's not that you're not going to be able to function in Europe, it's you're not going to survive the airplane. And this past April, we flew to New York City. Even though we got there 3 days early for the event, it took him about 3 or 4 days to recover. So next year, he'll be getting a heart transplant, and hopefully everything will work from there. But my job is to help him at this point.
But the thing is, so his visit to Rochester is truly amazing, physically amazing, spiritually amazing. You've been working with your father, you apprenticed with your father since the age of 14, I understand. For people who are watching and who don't know what the Four Agreements are all about, why don't you briefly tell people what the book is about?
Well, it's about your own personal freedom. It's a common sense guide to your own happiness, following four agreements, which is be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personal. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Four simple agreements that which could change and transform our own life, because in our own life we always have agreements, and sometimes those agreements push us forward to be the best we can, but the majority of the time there's agreements that push us down, and we're always having self-doubt, and we judge ourselves as ugly or unfit or whatever based on these agreements. You know, we look ourselves in a mirror and we only see the agreements that go against us.
This book has been hailed as revolutionary, even though the tenets are so simple, by people like Oprah Winfrey, and who, of course, touted your father's book on the air, but also just everyday people who find such comfort in the words. Again, be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I have to admit, the hardest one for me is to not take things personally.
Yes, that's the one.
It is so hard. Do you find that people come up to you and say, that's just so hard for me?
And it is. And even for me, when I first started practicing it, it was one of the most difficult things. And the reason it requires compassion. Though in order for that agreement to work, we have to understand that we function and we are a product of all these years of education, and you can call it domestication of our own beliefs. And we make the mistake that everyone believes exactly the same thing we believe. So when we interact with people, we're holding them to our own standard. But we're constantly interacting with people who have their own points of view, their own freedom of choice. So when they do things, when other people execute and talk about you or whatever, they're seeing it not through your eyes, they're seeing it through their eyes. And in their point of view, they're doing something right or wrong by their standards. And one has to realize that it has nothing to do with me. All those things, all those words that someone may use against me has nothing to do with me, because it's totally in their point of view. It's totally in their eyes, in their mind.
They see things through their own glasses. Your father, of course, is going to be here talking about the four agreements and how they fit into the workplace. And they were a lot of, I guess it's almost a sold-out event
at
Jiva Theater today. So how will you help your father at today's presentation? Are you going to translate for him? I know he speaks English, of course, but will you take over when he is tired, perhaps?
Basically, the way him and I work is that, for example, today's a 3-hour lecture. And usually we'll go for 45 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half. If he's inspired, he'll really go for it. My job is whenever he says, and I want to present Mikey, is usually when he says, okay, I need a little rest. And I go in and fill in the gap. And then I speak for about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on my own inspiration at
Sure.
that moment, and then he comes back in. And that's simply a way to help him. And my brother also does the same thing.
We have about a minute left, less than a minute. For people watching, all of this comes from the Toltec wisdom. For people who don't know what that means, what is the Toltec faith?
Well, Toltec it's not really a religion, it's a more of a philosophy. And like Toltec means artist. So if we understand that translation into the word artist, every single civilization has a Toltec.
Okay.
You know, it's a Nahuatl word, and the Aztecs had Toltecs. The Toltecs had Toltecs. The Olmecs have Toltecs. The Mayans had Toltecs. It's just a way to describe the artist, the priest, the soldiers, and we call them artists because our whole life is a work of art. Like our masterpiece is me, and I'm constantly constructing it, shaping it to be beautiful. I can make it the most beautiful heaven, or I can follow my agreements and make it the perfect hell. But I'm always constructing my art.
I love that. And it is art. And if you want to see more of this, you should go to Jiva Theater today between 1 and 4. We'll have more information on our website. Miguel, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much
and
for everything.
we wish your father the best healthy visit to Rochester. We hope you enjoy our city.
Thank you, and we look forward to coming again.
All right. We hope so. We've got more news straight ahead.